Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, September 18th. On the impact map for today, we have dry winds, 30 to 40 miles per hour, eastern Nevada, western Utah, actually the next 3 days, all in response to a very powerful storm system off the northern California coast. It's a complex weather situation, a lot of heavy precipitation moving into northern California. A little bit will start to spill over perhaps just off the high Sierra into western Nevada. That's going to be a very gradual process. So for the next 2, 3 days, I think just the high terrain near the Tahoe Basin itself could see wetting rains, otherwise dry. But another noteworthy feature, there's a separate weak disturbance breaking off that powerful California storm. It's going to move across the central mountains of Idaho later today and produce a few hours of spotty light showers, maybe a low end wetting rain near 1/10 of an inch at most in some areas, but again with higher humidity later this afternoon tonight, also diminishing fire activity on some of our ongoing large incidents. Otherwise warmer and drier Great Basin wise from most areas. Just a side note, a bit of monsoonal moisture. Yes, the monsoon still there. It's going to wrap up into southeast Utah and maybe parts of the Arizona Strip with some wetting rains towards the middle of the week. Smoke production has really been limited. Today might be the last day we really see this smoke coming off the mosquito fire. They are going to get pummeled with heavy rain over the next 2 days. We did have a fair amount of mostly light precipitation, local pockets of moderate precipitation over northern areas of the Great Basin. You see the heavy precipitation moving onshore across Northern California. Lightning, of course, was on the wet side everywhere. With all that lightning, just one or two small starts here across Utah and southern Nevada, and one out here in parts of Utah, but everything on the small side. Not seeing any significant growth on any of our ongoing large incidents now for the last couple of days. Last 7 days, this was that first push of tropical moisture, heavy precipitation into parts of Nevada, Utah, and a lot of this stuff also moved into Idaho. You see the percent of normal. It has been a wet week across many areas of Nevada, Utah, and into parts of Idaho. Still a number on our fuels. The only real concern still some of these lingering upper single digits on the 100-hour fuels on the lee side of the Sierra front. Otherwise, definitely modifying in most other areas. And the satellite imagery shows that wound up very deep winter-like low pressure area. Tons of moisture through here, but it's so wrapped up that it's actually cut off from main circulation. So it's going to sit here and spin for quite a few days before it finally tracks out across Oregon and into Idaho by the middle of the week. Ahead of it, these tight height lines indicate strong gusty winds, so that's another ingredient we'll have to watch. Fortunately, it's occurring over areas that have had a lot of wetness this past week and over the past couple of months. So for today, on the left, here's that storm system, very deep, lots of moisture going into Northern California, into the Pacific Northwest. And there's a chunk of moisture pushing into the central mountains of Idaho, where we do need it, as well as parts of northwest Nevada, where things could be still marginally dry. So we've greened things out. They've been green up there. We see minimum humidities somewhere between 22 and 41% across the region, and those will be around noontime. They'll start going up once the showers move in. There will be some strong south-southeast winds across Idaho, something to be watched before the humidity starts its rise. And strong winds, 40, maybe even gusts to 50 here in Nevada, but fortunately these areas had about a ½ inch to an inch of rain just several days ago. Those dry winds will continue here in this dry air mass on Monday. The storm system still in place off the Northern California coast. You can see that most areas are green except a little bit of yellow here in northwest Nevada. There are the strong winds still in the same area, and they'll be dry. Humidities will be down around 10 to 15%. Not out of the question that we couldn't see an ignition somewhere in an isolated dry pocket or two, but again, lots of rain fell in the last week. A lot of green grass growing in these areas where we have the winds because of the healthy monsoon. Now on Tuesday, the storm system starts to slowly drift inland, very slowly things have been really greened out here. The humidity will start rising along the Sierra Front in northwest Nevada. Also notice this monsoonal moisture. Yes, the monsoon's still in place and pushing through Arizona and into southeast Utah and parts of the Arizona Strip into Colorado once again. The wind's still in place, the humidity dry there, and that could really dry surface fuels quite a bit. I'll have to watch that a little bit towards the middle of the week. 3-day precipitation totals, you can see where the mosquito fire is in the Tahoe National Forest, producing all that smoke across the western Great Basin. 1 to 2 inches of rainfall expected there, and spotty amounts of low-end wetting rains across the central Idaho mountains. And then afterwards, on Wednesday, that storm system that was off the northern California coast is now moving across central Oregon, bringing its moisture with it and into the central mountains of Idaho where we need it. And on Thursday, that low pushes up into Montana. Still lots of moisture, moderate precipitation across our Idaho mountains where we need it. Still drying out through here. See a few yellows poking out as we go into the end of the week and into the start of next weekend. Actually back to a late summer pattern. Temperatures probably 5 degrees, 8 degrees above normal for this time of year. Light winds. Maybe good prescribed burning conditions in the north after all that precipitation drying things out a little bit. But there are some more waves of moisture offshore waiting in the wings to see what happens with that. The 7-day precipitation accumulation. And again, here in Idaho where we have our ongoing incidents, the blue shades are a ½ inch to an inch of precipitation on top of what's already fallen, and another ½ inch to locally an inch across parts of southern and eastern Utah as well. So that's what it's looking like. Afterwards, that high pressure and warming and drying we saw in the 6 and 7 day outlook is the same for the 8 to 14 day. Above normal temperatures, below normal precipitation. Again, this is normal going into the end of September into early October. Could be really good prescribed burning up in the north. At this point, with the short days and the amount of rain that's fallen, very unlikely to get back into critical large fire potential as we leave the month of September. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.